louder? How's this? More? Oh my goodness. Okay. How about now? That's good? I was going to say I can't go much louder without throwing my voice out, but I'll do my best. Just pretend you can hear me if it gets too bad. Okie doke. On to my script. Now that we've allowed sufficient time for stragglers to join the party, I hereby call this town hall to order. Before I formally introduce myself and kick off the proceedings, I'd like Damian Lynn, the current and somewhat enthusiastically interim chair of the Gallatin County Democrats, to come up and ask the audience for a favor or three in the name of democracy.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me? Yeah. Perfect. All right, so first of all, I want to welcome all of you for taking time out of your busy lives to be here. And I want to thank all of our amazing legislators for not only being here with us tonight, but spending 13 plus hour days over the last several weeks achieving some incredible laws and defeating some psychotic other ones. So yes, I see a ton of new faces here, and so the first thing I want to do is kind of remind ourselves and introduce everyone else. We are the Gallatin County Democrats. It might make sense to think that there's a state party above us and there's a federal party above that, and maybe money rolls downhill. It does not. We don't receive any monetary funds from the state or federal parties, and so everything that we are able to achieve, renting out the space, having snacks, doing all the events that we do, paying our rent, having 2 amazing staff members, is done because of yourselves and the neighbors to your left and right. So thank you. With that being said, if you're new tonight, if you're new to any of our events, I would like to ask everyone, if you're able to continue to donate to the Gallatin County Democrats. Like I said, all of this is because of you, and I think that myself, Joe, all of the rest of our executive committee and central committee members here would love to be able to do more and more, and that takes people power and it takes money. Speaking of people power, like I said, tons of new faces in here. We organize on a application called Slack. If you would like to be a part of that, please reach out to us. We've got a whole bunch of emails. If you'd like to be on that Slack, just let us know. If you didn't fill out your email tonight, you can always shoot us an email. We'll get you added there. And you can be a part of organizing this event, future events, and if you come up with brand new ideas that we've never done before, we would love to help facilitate turning that into a reality to support our local Democrats, our statewide Democrats in the future, and just improve the lives of Gallatin County Democrats, all Gallatin County residents and residents of Montana. And then the very last thing, at the end of tonight, if you get a chance, please go out onto social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, subscribe to us, like our stuff, comment on it. It helps the algorithms to show it to more and more people. So next time we have this event, this room isn't big enough for all of us, and we need to rent something even larger. With that, I'm going to say a very heartfelt thank you to Joe Hancock, to Zach Nell, and Vicky Sadie. They were the folks that contacted all these individuals, got this space rented out, got the food, set up all the chairs. They've done all the hard work tonight. So just, again, thank you.
Since we have everyone's attention, for the most part anyway, I am honored to welcome you to this legislative town hall hosted by the Gallatin County Democrats. We would like to take a moment before we proceed to acknowledge the gratitude we have towards the many indigenous nations who call this valley their homelands. Many thanks to the Blackfeet, Crow, Shoshone, and others who have lived here since time immemorial and protected the waters, land, air, and animals. May we proceed with the spirit of respect and generosity that these nations have displayed. To anyone here who hasn't met me yet, I am Joe Hancock, and I'm honored to make your acquaintance. To those who know me already, you have my condolences. I am known to wear many hats, and tonight I will be trying on a new one as I moderate this very large panel of professional talkers. Especially Pat. I'll do my best to ensure that each of our legislators has ample opportunity to engage with you all, but we gained a lot of seats in November, and our evenings stayed the same length. If there was any downside to Montana's redistricting 2024, this would be it. I do this job every day, though, if it means that we have 13 good friends and amazing people in Helena protecting Montana's values and working to build a livable future in our beautiful state. While I'm excited to introduce the attendees, I want to take a moment to recognize the work of our two legislators who are unable to be here tonight. First, I'll mention Alana Griffith from Big Sky, who represents House District 60. She was planning to participate, but as is common in the life of a citizen legislator, a work conflict got in the way at the last minute. Literally this morning she texted me, and I had to change my script. Some of the hard work she's been doing for us in Helena has focused on rural infrastructure improvements and property rights. Next, we are without Rabbi Ed Staffman tonight, the representative for House District 59, who is currently in the air as he returns from visiting his first grandchild over this transmittal break. Representative Staffman has worked tirelessly on a broad array of great bills this session on issues like reproductive health care, government transparency, environmental sustainability, and more. So here's to Alana and Rabbi Ed, two dedicated public servants and hardworking legislators. Now let's meet our panelists for tonight's town hall. There's a mic somewhere down there for them, but Vicki said, Pat can borrow yours. You don't need it yet. We'll just use two up front for now. First up will be Senator Flowers.
Thank you, Joe. First of all, let me thank you all for being here. This is amazing, and I feel a lot of support in this room, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I want to thank Joe and the rest of the Central Committee for organizing this fantastic idea, and to all of these folks here who I see most days in the Capitol and really appreciate all their work. Joe asked if I would start by talking about what's happening kind of in the Senate organizationally. So that's where I'm going to spend my 2.5 minutes now. On day one of the session, we introduced a set of temporary rules that reconfigured our committee assignments. There was all the Democrats and a group of 9 Republicans felt very disenfranchised with how we were assigned to those committees. We felt like our talents weren't going to be well used, our experience wasn't going to be used. So we kind of took the situation into our own hands, passed a new set of rules, reassigned committees, and now we feel like we can have an impact. As a result of that, there was no deal, we didn't give anything away, we didn't get anything other than we got a relationship. And so On day one, 9 Republicans, 18 Democrats formed a relationship. It was tentative, we weren't sure how it was going to go, but what's happened over time is we've been able to build trust and recognize that there are things, interests that we share, values that we share, and where we can find those, we work together to get things done for Montanans, which is the bottom line that we're supposed to be doing over there. So we've also allowed room for them to vote how they need to vote on a lot of issues that we don't agree on. And likewise, we're doing the same. So in my mind, I've explained this probably ad nauseum to my wife who couldn't be here tonight. And she said she came from politics in another state where she kind of witnessed some of this going on, 30, 40 years ago. And she said, well, that's the way it's supposed to work. And that's exactly right. We feel like we are working across the aisle for Montanans to get good things done for all of you. So I'll leave it at that.
Wow, this is really terrific. The most terrific thing is I know a lot of you. I feel like Sally Fields in the Oscars. You must like me.
What's your name?
Oh, yeah, thank you. My name is Senator Denise Heyman, and my district is Senate District 32, and it's behind Costco and a lot of new buildings behind Costco. Needless to say, that will keep me out of trouble. I am here this evening not only to join all of you, but to share a little bit of my experience so far in the Capitol. I want to say that it has been a much better experience than last session, and I really appreciate that. We had no mystery 9 that voted our way last session, and we were in a world of hurt on a lot of bills. So this time, we're seeing some real success. And there isn't anything that brings as much pleasure as some success. And I don't think I have anything else to say other than please remember to talk to your neighbors, let them know how important what the Democrats are doing, how important property tax reduction, housing, increasing, and several other things that we need to work on in this county to make people want to stay here, be solid members of our community, and they can't do that without some help like this. Thank you.
I like Pat's idea of standing up. My name's Cora Newman, Senator Cora Newman. I am Senate District 30. I grew up here in Bozeman. Some of you may know my Uncle Carson Taylor, the former mayor, so we've got some deep roots here, and I'm so honored to be serving you all. I've had a great time. I really love this group of people. I love the Democrats. We learned to love some great Republicans, and we can talk a little bit more about that. But I feel like this session has been really inspiring because of the way that we've been able to work together with Republicans. What I think is this is the way Montana has been, right? We're feeling like, I heard last session it was just railroading these terrible bills through with nothing we could do about it, no bipartisanship. We have been able to come together with these 9 Republicans and have conversations about what they care about and what we care about and vote together. And so being able to do that in this climate, and given what's happening at the national level, it feels really good. And so I just want everybody we've been trying to get that message out that this is what's happening, that we're having some good, I've been calling this group Montana's backbone. Because they're standing up and they've been courageous, standing with us. We've stood with them on some hard things too. But it just feels good. It's like, this is Montana. We talk to each other, we listen to each other, we vote with each other when it makes sense. We support each other and respect each other. And so I have really, really loved that. I'll share one anecdote. I did introduce too many bills. As a freshman, I introduced 9 bills, and Pat warned me, everybody warned me. But I learned a lot through that process. But the one anecdote I'll share with you all is that on Thursday, we killed an anti-abortion bill on the Senate floor for the first time in so long. We did not have the votes before we went onto the floor, actually, even though we've been talking really, trying to appeal to our partners, because it's such a hard thing to vote on, right, as a Republican. We did not know we were going to have the votes, and I got up and shared a very personal story. Senator Laura Smith got up and shared a very personal story, and we just laid it all on the line, and I'm just so proud of all of us, and proud of everybody who voted against it, putting themselves really in harm's way in their district. That we were able to hear each other and see each other, and that's what we need in this country right now. And I think that all of you being here, and the way that we're all able to work together is this groundswell, and it is the way that we take Montana back and take our country back.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not going to walk the plank. But it just brings me such happiness to see this room, all of you who make your time to come out here. I think we're all feeling it tonight, and I just want to compliment each and every one of you, how important it is for all of us to be in one room together tonight. I want to start by shouting out to my wife, Maddie, who, and I think I'm speaking for others up here, that it's with family and friends and all of you that we can do what we do. And I'll tell you, I've been up now, it's my 5th term, so a term is 2 years. And 2 in the House, 2 terms in the House, and 3 now in the Senate. And this has been by far the most difficult term I've experienced. And it's because of all things we feel that as we watch TV, there's a sense that we're in the middle of a big fight. And I will say that for some of us, and I think the majority of us, I'm wired to do good work. I'm wired to sit down with anybody who will listen to me and try and come up with great ideas for all of us in our community. And so it's a difficult spot to be for those of us who say, let's just be civil, let's sit down and respect each other, let's not get out of the box, let's be kind, and let's look forward. And I think that this group has done that. I compliment each and every one of our legislators who, I can guarantee you we're a different group than we were 6 weeks ago. And it starts at 7 in the morning and being in this Capitol, full of folks. We went through, all of us, our little flu and cold moments, not COVID. But yes, we've had our challenges, and at the end of it, thanks to Pat's leadership on the Senate side, we have 18 folks in the Senate out of 50, so you can do the math. We need 26. So every single thing we do is bipartisan. Every single thing we do. And that means finding folks, I call it an unholy alliance, because while we'll have terrific outcomes that we'll talk about tonight, there are many times also that we're losing votes that you just go, wow, they just voted with us a minute ago, but they didn't vote for something else that looks very simple. So the work is in front of us. We have another 6 to 8 weeks here. And I'll just say that I can finish up to say I work on appropriations, which is the money part, and I work deep diving on healthcare. We did get Medicaid, House Bill 245. Thanks to to our House members for getting that kick-started, and I'll tell you something, I wouldn't have bet a nickel, 8 weeks ago that we would have passed that by transmittal. No way. So, I also work in local government, trying to keep the state government from pounding on us, our local community, in 100 different ways. It's just incredibly bizarre experience to be sitting through those conversations. You want to tell us everything that we need to do, and you know better than we do. It's all about Father knows best, and it's not a happy place to be, but local government's that, and then I'm vice chair of energy, and maybe I'll talk about some of that later. But thank you very much. Pardon me, my name's Chris, last name Pope, and as we say up there, P-O-P-E, and I am from Main Street all the way up to the top of our county, if you could get there walking, and then all the way over to Manhattan as well. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I'm Scott Rosenzweig from House District 57, which stretches from northeast Bozeman, actually starts at Bozeman Ave, and goes all the way to Bridger Bowl, to Wilsall, to Gardner, to Cook City. Yeah, stunningly beautiful, right? Stunningly beautiful. Paradise is in my district. And I won by 17 votes, so... Thank you. I just want to say, so I'm very grateful. I suffer from less depression because I'm just grateful and that I'm allowed to show up every day. And when I did get elected halfway through the orientation, there was a giant shift that had to take place among all the committees. And so what we have now is an extraordinarily strong Democrat caucus. In fact, I think we're the largest caucus because we're the only ones who unite around the theme, 42 of us strong, which means at any given vote, we only need 8 people to kill something and 9 to win something. And as has already been said, there are a lot of really decent people on any given topic. So if they can empathize with that one topic, then we can find enough people to partner with us. What I wanted to say that's interesting for me is that it's an incredibly steep learning curve and exhausting. It's probably the most exhausting job I've ever had, and just in terms of sleep and food deprivation. Also, it's really interesting. Everyone has a very different job. Many of my colleagues here sit on policy committees, and they fight all day long, sometimes in balanced committees with reasonable people, and sometimes in committees that are designed to be unreasonable they're designed to be unreasonable and to never win Democrat sentiments. So it's a testament to them that they show up every day and keep fighting the good fight. I sit on appropriations in a very weird little subcommittee called Section F, Long Range Planning, and we just give away $1.5 billion to everything I can think of is in my district, and then occasionally other people's districts, but I've approved everything that the university system wants in Gallatin County. And what I want to say is our biggest successes, and this is incredible support for us. It really is very meaningful that you show up here. It really makes our jobs much more worthwhile. But one of the things that surprised me is the biggest successes are sometimes things that you would not know. Like that by twice pushing away a property tax bill in the appropriations subcommittee, the Republicans have spent a lot of time improving it. So even though we have our own tax bills that we're proposing, just by holding off because it's 13-10 in the appropriations subcommittee, we have a tremendous amount of power with any 2 Republicans, and so we've been able to essentially really improve the property tax bills before they've even arrived. So credit to us for that. And then you'll find the number of things we do is vast. I've got a Wolf Amendment, a gas tax, a capital gains tax bill, and some other things. So and a weight loss bill. But it's an incredible, it's a stunning amount of work, and it's hard. And thank you for being here to support us. That's all. Thank you.
How's everybody doing? Number 1. Yay! My name is Becky Edwards. I represent House District 61, and unlike my my good friend, Scott Rosenzweig, I can step out my front door and walk my entire district, which is a joy. And I've gotten the distinct joy of being able to walk my district with many of you during the campaign season, so thank you. I'm going to be short because I don't really know what our agenda is tonight, but I came here to hear from you. You all have heard us talk a lot over the last year or more, and I want to know what you think. I want to know what issues are important to you. And yes, it's incredibly hard work at the Capitol. I feel so honored to do it. I am a mother of 3. Everybody on this stage is tired of me saying this by now. It's very challenging to be in the midpoint of your career and leave your family at home. And my husband is a saint. He's not here tonight because he's home with our kids. And to leave for 4 months. And so I feel very honored to be able to do that. And to bring a different perspective maybe to the Capitol. But again, I am so intrigued by what is happening in each of your brains, and so I hope we get to hear a lot from each of you, and I'm happy to stay here as long as possible to talk to as many of you as I possibly can. And I guess one thing that I am most excited about with serving, everyone has said, some great things that we've been able to kill or, have an impact on. And I feel lucky that we have the numbers to do that. But what I am most excited about is not just what we can kill, but what we can get. And I want to hear from all of you. I have opinions. I know everybody on the stage has opinions, but there's this great poet I love from Colorado that's, I forget the exact quote, but we all know what we're against. I bet I know what most people in this room are against and what we're fighting against at the Capitol. But what we have not maybe been able to do as Democrats in Montana is to show the rest of us in Montana and the nation what we're for. So, please tell me what you're for. And let's get into that.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh Seconder. I represent House District 62, which is, well, it's basically Huffine from 19th and Main to Four Corners. Woo! I'm here tonight out of respect for the Gallatin County Democrats because, make no mistake, Gallatin County Democrats put me in my seat. And if it weren't for the help of Gallatin County Democrats, the Republican would have won. I won by 122 votes, not as close as some, but pretty damn close. We were asked to say, I don't know, what I feel. A lot of people put a lot of time in the new legislators trying to get us up to speed prior to the session. We learned rules with Rabbi Ed. Eric Matthews walked us through what to expect. No one could have prepared us for the pace. It's astonishing. This isn't exactly true, but we do in 90 days what they do in DC in 2 years, right? With no staff. You send me an email, I'm the one that gets the email, right? There's no one else answering that. So, I agree with Becky. I want to hear what you guys have to say. So, thank you so much for coming out. It's so good to see so many people in this room. And I'll pass it on to Pete.
It is so good to be here, Bozeman. I am House District 63, which is right next to Josh's district on the west side of town. It reaches down to the Gallatin River. I'm very proud to say that. In fact, when I do a bell hearing, I usually reference the Gallatin River. Let's see, what do I feel? What do I feel like? Right now, who am I? I'm Peter Strand. And let's see, what do I feel? I feel just so good to be with you all. We spend our time in a very divided world, what I want to lean into, actually, what I feel a lot of is affinity for my colleagues. And that's been referenced here a little bit, but I have a really great team that I work with. The Democrats are just, I mean, I spend my time with the representatives, I'm sure the senators are similar, but we have a really diverse powerhouse in that group. We represent all kinds of backgrounds, we have all sorts of strengths. Some people can get up on the floor and speak. Some people are great at throwing out fabulous questions in bill hearings and really taking somebody apart and needs to be taken apart. Some people are just great at organizing. Some people, like Josh, are great at whipping votes, which is obviously crucial. We have a whole range of skills in our team, and every day I go to work and I just love it. I mean, the people around me, everybody's doing something interesting, and I can just admire them. And that is so powerful. And on that team spirit, I'm gonna go further there and say this really is a team sport, which sounds a little weird, but honestly, when you're in there, it's a team sport. And your uniform for me is a suit. You wear a suit and tie as your uniform, which in Montana definitely makes you stand out a little bit, obviously, not in that building. And I'm just loving the people I'm with. That's the main thing I want to say today. We could talk a whole bunch about a whole lot of bills. I would say especially education bills for me. Sometimes, actually, on that note, I want to talk about federal issues related to, say, education today, but I won't go there. We don't have enough power there, sadly. I also want to lean into Pat Flowers a little bit. He is so humble. He has just walked out and just taken our party and really made things happen. And I think we need to give him some extra attention. The wild political game in the Senate. I mean, it's hard for me over in the House, frankly, but there's a really great piece in the Free Press. If you don't read the Free Press, you definitely should. It's called the Power of Flowers, and you should look at it. It's really quite interesting. Anyway, I will leave it at that. I'm sure we're going to get lots of great questions. And like Becky mentioned, I really am interested as well in hearing from all of you. I know you're here to sort of connect with us and find out where we are, but when you give us questions and give us thoughts and give us your ideas and give us your energy, that plays out when we go back to Helena. I can't tell you enough. So thank you for being here. I'll pass this on.
Howdy. I'm Representative Kelly Cordon. I represent House District 64 in West Bozeman. This is my third term, and boy, is it different than the last two. I am surprised that government can actually work if you can agree on stuff and not just scream at each other. And that's been my experience this session. It's been beautiful to see that things can happen. I specialize in committee work and voting issues, and I will say we have a whole bunch of freshmen that are just killing it on their first year. They are so amazing. We have so many of them here with us, and I'm very thankful for a great new team who will not just lead this year, but for the next 3 terms, please. I guess the one other thing I would like to mention before we get to questions is we have a successful blast motion in the House getting rental application fees, not only to the floor, but passed out the Senate. Would have been impossible 2 or 4 years ago. So a lot of that is the collaboration that we built as a team and with our Republican colleagues across the aisle. And I'm just so happy to serve with so many great people. Thank you.
Well, hello, I'm Brian Close, House District 65, which starts right by the Pickle Barrel, where I've been twice this week. And it goes all the way up the Baseline Road, mostly between 19th and 7th. And I'm very pleased to be here, and I'm very pleased to be serving with these people. We have 20 freshmen in the legislature, and they, as far as I can tell, are not typical freshmen. I've seen some very important bills put up by freshmen that were tabled and then taken off the table and gotten to the floor and gotten to the Senate. And the freshmen in this class are doing great work. I myself have 3 very simple bills that got passed. I want to talk about working with Republicans. I had a bill to establish a committee on studying our guardianship issue. How guardianships are done in the state, because we have a very antiquated system. And I got help from the Lieutenant Governor, who I don't agree with on almost everything. But in this, she agreed with me and she helped me get that bill done. So there's 42 of us. There's 42 of us, and we are disciplined. There's a revolutionary level of discipline in our caucus. But we need 8 to stop or 9 to pick up, as Scott says. And so we have to actually study the Republicans. If you're a Republican in Cascade County or Yellowstone County, most of those people have background in local government, and they're more reasonable and they're approachable. And then there's the odd guy, like there's this one retired policeman who thinks COVID was a scam, but he grew up in a trailer court, and he's willing to work with me on trailer court issues. So you just have to find out as much as you can about these people and work with them issue by issue. And I've had some success in doing that, and I'm going to try to do more. But it's just great that we have 42 votes, and we stick together, and you won't see a Democrat cutting another Democrat on the floor like we saw last week. You know, Republicans cutting each other on the floor. And we've got Republicans to defeat bills that the Speaker put out. I've seen Speaker bills go down 48 to 52. I talked to Republican Republican talked to me. They don't caucus, they don't have floor sheets, they don't meet every day as to organize what their strategy is. We are organized, and that's a compliment to our leadership, and it makes my job as a freshman much easier. And finally, I've been privileged to serve on taxation and human services, and I was there to help in my little vote way to move forward 3 property tax bills that are eventually going to be put together for reform and Medicaid expansion. And I was happy to participate. Thank you. Thank you for coming to listen to us tonight, and we want to hear from you. Thank you.
All right, I'm Eric Matthews. I'm House District 66. Thank you. We're in my district right now. I'm from up by Colombo's Pizza and all the way to the north end of the county. Chris Pope and I share half of the Senate district, and it's my honor to be here. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm going to disagree with a couple of my colleagues. I'm going to tell you a couple things I want you to have in your mind. And the two big ones that are coming to the top, there's more than this, but we just passed a bill out of the House to allow the state to sell off trust land. And that's a problem. It's in the Senate, and if people aren't aware of it, it's just gonna slide through under some little guys, and it's happening. The other one are the myriad of bills that are coming after water rights in all sorts of ways. So I just want to say that, because regardless, I absolutely want to hear what you have to tell us, but we all need to be paying attention to that for our state to continue to be the state we want. I'm sure many of you have heard about the issue in the crazies and closing down public access, and that's going to continue and continue and continue if we don't put our feet down collectively. We can stand up here and we can push the buttons in Helena, and we can come and talk about all sorts of things and listen about all sorts of things, but we all have to do it, and we have to spread it to our friends and our neighbors. And this turnout is amazing, and we need more, and we need more, and we need more. And we all of us, not just us, but all of us get to do that. So, I got emotional last year too. That's just who I am. But I can't remember. That's not my wheelhouse. But we'll get the numbers. But there's several. There's
one that's 379 that's in the programs right now that actually hasn't made it all the way into the Senate. But we'll get those to you. 379 is my
very good. Joe, you writing that down? 379. And all of the above. So we just need to keep that organized. But I want that to be front and center for people, because it's important in the state that we live in and we choose to live in. We want to keep it what it is. That's why we're here. 676 is that number. So there's that information. On top of it, I can't say enough about how proud I am of all of these people up here. They're all a complete pain in their ass, a pain in the ass in their own little way. Yes, me too. But we all work so well together, and I'm just proud of all of the work that we've done. And we've got a lot more to go. We're heading towards like sliding down to the end, and we'll just do the best we can for all of you, and we're excited to hear what you have to ask us tonight.
I let them talk longer than I planned because they were all just doing such a great job. They were supposed to go 2 minutes. Here we are. So, now that we've reached the Q&A portion, I need to establish some ground rules. Because there are so many of you, and so many of them. So, if you have a question, see the person, Vicky, here up front by the table. She will have a microphone and she'll be receiving the questions. And the aisle there is for everyone to line up for the questions. For the sake of time and fairness, only one question at a time, either to a legislator or the panel. No follow-ups. No dialogue. Panel, we do not have time. Yeah, no two-part questions. Usually only the second part is answered, so start and end with it. No monologues, Judge. This isn't an academic conference. I won't be enforcing a hard time limit, but I will let everyone know when the conversation needs to move along. We have a lot to talk about, so let's keep the line moving and see how much we can cover. So, I actually have some questions prepped, so give for our freshmen so they can get the feel for this. Oh, no, well, so, I'm going to start with Cora. Since I've seen you speak a number of times, you can go first and set the tone for the evening. It's on a bill you sponsored, so you should be able to answer this question, I promise. All of you, I picked a bill you sponsored. Peter, you should be able to guess, because I think you sponsored one. But anyway, during my poli-sci studies, Dr. Sarah Rushing spoke often on the value of doulas in maternal health care. This drew me to Senate Bill 319, which you sponsored that, if I read it right, would establish certification guidelines for doulas and allow Medicaid to cover their services. As a public health advocate, how do you believe this bill will help Montana's aspiring, expecting, and new parents?
Thank you very much. I'll be quick. So, my background is in public health, and the doula bill was one of the ones that someone referenced about blasting bills out of committee. This bill was I'm in Hill committee, so the bills that the Republicans want to kill, they send to my committee, so it's pretty rough. But doulas are birth attendants, basically. They support prenatal, labor and delivery, and postpartum care. The cost for doula care is about $800 to $1,200, like in all encompassing, and cesarean rates fall by 30% with women who have doula care. Postpartum depression goes up to 60% in some populations in Montana. That's greatly reduced, so it's a huge return on investment. And what I want to share about it was the way that it was fought. On the floor, if you saw the debate, on the floor, the majority leader stood up on the floor and held up this tome about the entitlement society and how we couldn't keep giving so much money away, and this bill that helps women not either die in childbirth or have postpartum depression, that he was going to die on that hill of $800 per person. And so I just stood up and, we had a debate on the floor, but the pushback, and for me it really did feel like a sexist situation, where women did not deserve this care. Some of the women were called whiny, the women who came in to share their stories. It was intense. But we, again, with this bipartisan coalition, got people together, and I spent time talking to people about this and the huge return on investment if we could pass this bill, and it was passed off the floor. And the one thing I'll say about it is that it's one of the things where I feel like if you can come together again and tell your story, and that's where we get all of you involved as well. Not only do we want to hear your questions and hear what you're most concerned about, but those were stories that came to me from all of you as well. And so you're with us when we're up there on the floor. You are with us, and so I hope you feel that when you see us speaking, when you see us fighting. That we wouldn't. This is a team. This is definitely teamwork, and we wouldn't be able to do it without you. Thank you.
I'll just go ahead and skip to the line since it's starting to build already, and I'll save mine for dead spots.
Hello? Okay, there it is. I'm not quite sure who I'll direct this to. Maybe Roger, who's a lawyer. I've practiced, lawyers practiced in this community. How's this? Okay. And I served on the Montana Supreme Court for 8.
So, as you know, the state judiciary has been under attack, not just this session, but several sessions in the past.
How's this? Okay. And so I'm wondering, whoever can respond to this, what's happening in the legislature with regard
To these bills on,
Okay, how's that? Okay, I kept my thumb on it, so anyway, that's my concern, because the, as I see it, the Republican Party wants to own the Montana Supreme Court. They want to whip the judiciary into shape so that they can own it. So for whoever wants to respond to this, please let us know how things are going at the legislature relative to these attacks on the judiciary.
I'll take that one. I think a few things. There's absolutely an attack. There have been bill after bill to try to make the Supreme Court races partisan. There are some bills to make all of our courts partisan, to force people to pick. They can give you an option of either saying you're Republican, Democrat, or independent, or undecided, whatever the term is. And any judge that would pick undecided would then all of a sudden not be a viable candidate. And we want our judges to be that uncommitted type of person. A few things that are happening with this is it has very much become a bargaining chip in almost everything that we deal with, and correct me if I'm wrong, Pat, but I'm hearing from the things I'm hearing that if we can get all this stuff through, then we can do something with partisan judges. I think the options at this point are it either dies outright, we get a referendum on it, those are the two that we will deal with in the legislature, or there might be the will of some groups of people to try to put a citizen referendum together to try to change our constitution so that can't happen. So there's some options going forward, and that again is going to take all of our efforts to make it happen. But we are doing our best to kill all those, and some of them are dying and some of them are flying through. Hope that answers your question.
One thing I would add to that, Mike, wherever you are, is Senate Bill 385 is also an awful bill. That creates a, quote, Montana Government Claims Court. And just track this. It's not hard at all. This court would be appointed, in this case, by a Republican governor who could appoint 3 judges who would rule on whether the statutes that are being passed by a Republican majority in the legislature pass constitutional muster. It doesn't, you can see where that leads us, and the reason why this is so important is it directly attacks our Constitution, because every one of those bills takes away our rights and freedoms and waters down our Constitution. That bill has to die. It is incredibly dangerous. So
stay on that one, contact anybody that you can, particularly Republicans in the legislature, but Senate Bill 385 has to die. Thank you.
How's this? Does it work? I'm going to ask permission. Not really a monologue, it's not a question. I've passed this around to several of the people here, and it's been well received. May I simply ask a litany of questions without pointing it to anybody? Okay. And that would be wonderful. Then here's my question. One, this is kind of a dream to be in front of so many people that can help. And at the ripe old age of 16, I was a registered Republican. I still am because I've been lazy. But it's enabled me to get into a lot of conversations with a fellow Republican and tell them how disgusted I am. So it actually works kind of backdoor. So here's my question. My daughter's in the military, and she told me that a felon cannot possess a gun, and a felon cannot be in the military. Now, we have a president that is a 34-time felon who has his finger on a pretty important button, which is kind of like a gun. And he doesn't seem to follow the rules. And when will an unelected, unappointed man be removed from the White House? And hopefully Trump will stop selling Teslas.
All right, we're going to call. Thank you for your commentary, and I'll make sure, I do have a copy of that. I'll make sure the legislator get a chance to review your statement. And what was your name?
Martin Dowd, retired home builder.
Martin Dowd, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
On to the next question. Come on.
Hi, my name is Terry Quattrero, and I have a question, but I want to give a little bit of background. This last election, there was an initiative that was plastic ordinance for Bozeman, and it passed. It was one of two bills that actually passed. Over 18,000 folks in Bozeman city limits voted in favor of getting rid of single-use plastic bags and some styrofoam packaging, et cetera, et cetera. So I think most people know about that. I also want to say how egregious these plastic particles are, and that it involves our health. So Cora, I hope you're interested in this one, as I know you are. Thank you. It is overwhelming to get rid of plastic, but it was a huge step. If people are thinking getting rid of single-use plastic bags isn't enough, 15 million plastic bags are given out in Bozeman city limits every year. And the studies of women, childcare, this again is health. There are microplastics in babies when they're born, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, my question is, why, because it passed at a 63%, why is it dead now? Why did the state, and I kind of know the answer to that, but it shouldn't be that way. That this initiative was the first in the nation as a grassroots effort to eliminate single-use plastic bags. Bozeman should be proud of that fact. And you, as our legislative leaders, have the ability to blast it, because Ed Staffman did take it, House Bill 160, to try and get it so that they could overturn the ban on bans, which is now in court. It's going to go on forever. The question is, let's pass it. Let's get it out. Let's eliminate single-use plastic. We voted on it, 18,000 folks. We are.
So Thank you, Terry. This was in the local government committee, and it's one of the, surprisingly, this is a very hard committee to be on. So I serve in the local government committee with actually other people on this stage too. And it's really, as Ed actually calls it, it's the anti-local government committee. It is not the local government committee. Most of the bills we hear are all about taking away authority from local communities, specifically Bozeman. We get targeted. And I mean that quite honestly. I've had a number of experiences. Actually, one day I let loose a little bit. It was a 15-hour day, and I kind of just lost myself and attacked the bill sponsor and got in a little trouble. Seriously, it was a really hard night. But about this bill, it was the first time I really saw this. I mean, we had so many people coming in and giving testimony about this issue, like you just were, Terry, and then some people saying, look, this is us. We should be able to do what we want to do with our waste management. And it was obvious. I mean, the only opponent was essentially the petroleum industry. I mean, I'm simplifying, but that essentially is what happened. And when it came to executive action, which is when, we caucused and we all get together, it was very clear that they had no interest in doing anything like this. It was like they were scared because it's plastics, and they had all kinds of weird reasons, like, we let you do this, then you won't let us have guns in your community. And somebody actually said, I'm worried that you'll force us to have electric vehicles in your community. Seriously. A representative actually said that in that discussion. It was horrible. I guess the answer is people have it out for Bozeman and Missoula. And that really is it. And there's a lot of emphasis on trying to really attack us, and we're looked at as some kind of enemy. So I wish it were easier. It seemed obvious to me, but that's kind of where it went. I wish I had a better answer.
One thing I would say on the ban on bans is, okay, if we have a ban on bans, let's ban you trying to ban abortion. Let's ban you trying to ban people, trans people from going into bathrooms. Like, you want ban on bans? Let's bring it.
I promise I'm not going to speak on every question as much as I want to. But Terry, what I've learned from Ed today is that the judge in that lawsuit has asked the leadership in the House and the Senate, including me, to come together on mediation to try and figure out how we can deal with the fact that he has overturned that ban on bans. So hopefully that'll happen. I'm raising my hand to be a part of that. Hopefully the Republican counterparts will too. Thanks.
I would like to interrupt for 1 second because there are some individuals here who have served us well. They're no longer elected, but they're in the room. And I would like to recognize a fabulous, wonderful, effective J.P. Tomakowski. And also Jane Jelinski. Jane is a former county commissioner, and she got elected when only the men were in charge. And pardon? Yes, and we have Supreme Court Justice Mike Wheat. Am I missing who? Oh, Carson. Yes, I was just thinking of the legislature, but Carson Taylor has given this community a lot of time and commitment and financial support, and I can't say enough about Carson. So I just wanted to point out some folks that I could see right away and that have gone through the fire pit and survived it and have joined us this evening. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to all of you for your service. So appreciated. I'm a little angry with Peter because he doesn't show up at book club meetings anymore. But I guess go to meetings, go to, recycling meetings, I guess. So thanks to Eric Matthews for also pointing out what we should be paying attention to. I really appreciate that because that's kind of the challenge for your engaged citizen is to focus, to do that. So it's really good to hear. And I'm going to ask the question that I'd like to know more about the exact bills. I listened to Pat Flowers and Katie Sullivan speak on a legislative update. This happens twice a week. People should know about it. It's through Montana Democrats. Not Gallatin County Democrats, but you mentioned very clearly a couple of very important bills about the judiciary, and separation of powers is what I want to be focused on. And I don't think you mentioned both of them. You mentioned two during that legislative update. I'd like to know the numbers. Anytime we know a number, I just looked up judiciary or courts. There's 372 bills. And that's impossible for me to figure out which one I want to pay attention to. So I wrote down 385, but I'd like to know specifically those bills, because those are the bills that right now seem to parallel nationally and statewide. Not two birds with one stone, I guess pay attention to separation of powers. So thanks for doing that.
I think the other one is, in addition to 385, which I described, this is, I'll call this adjacent to the courts, but it's equally insane, and I have to describe it, and that's Senate Bill 457, and that has passed out of the Senate, sadly. That gives your legislators, us, who pay $15 to do this, the right to subpoena you as citizens to come before us, and if you don't, then you are subject to 12 months in jail. That is the truth. I mean, it's insane. And so, please pay attention to that one. We do not deserve this power and authority. I don't want it, and I certainly don't want any of my colleagues to have that either. So, pay attention to that one. Senate Bill 457 that passed out of the Senate, and I'm sure the wiser body will crush this.
So the state bar is opposing a lot of these bills, and there's retired members of the bar working this. They have a website called Protecting the Third Branch. So just Google that, or Google Bessie Grant or Protecting the Third Branch. They'll have a catalog of what's going on and where it's at. So that's a quick way to find most of this stuff. Protecting the Third Branch.
Hey there, so I'm Ian Angus, and I have a question about the bipartisanship that's been happening this session, because we did not see that in 2023. What do you think changed to have more across the aisle work?
I'll start. Thank you, Ann, for the question, and I know that there'll be several comments here, so I'll just be really brief. Envision the Democrats, not really, but sitting on their side of the aisle with big popcorn bags, watching the Republican Party melt and right in front of our eyes. This is all about the fact that there are fractions inside the other party, which frankly, in my opinion, is not necessarily a great thing. I mean, it creates all kinds of craziness, and we'll talk about some of that later, but the idea is that, just like in the U.S. House of Representatives, We have that kind of dysfunction going on the other side of the aisle, so we are scrambling every minute to try and figure out stuff. The bipartisan part comes because the hard right is just cutting the heads off their moderate members.
Pardon? Anyways, what I see both in our, like, an appropriations committee and also on the House floor is there's a real divide between, on the House floor, there's 58 of them and they give thought to what they do and they don't whip themselves into any particular direction. It's kind of like showing up every day and being we're playing the same team and we're the shorter basketball team, but we're smarter. And so we accomplish our goals more than they do, and they don't really have a plan. They just accidentally sometimes vote together. Really, it's almost like they're accidentally aligned when it comes to weird social things, and they're kind of sick of it after a month and a half of it, so they're even fighting back, as you saw last week, and them coming to our side on a number of bills. So it's just, I think we've just been reasonable in the middle, and they're split, and occasionally they have money issues, occasionally they have social issues, and we exploit that.
All of that, and we have 10 more votes. 10 more votes makes such a huge difference when you're begging for 19 Republicans versus 9. That's how this works. The folks in this community showed up and got all of us elected, and a lot of those new votes came from right here in Gallatin County, so it made a difference. Thank you.
And it works in committees too. I just needed 2 Republicans to tax vape nicotine in the tax committee. And I got 2. And then I got more of the same. So one of the things about bills getting stuck in committee is that the committees were proportionate. So we only had 32 members. These guys, Kelly here and Matt, were just watching stuff go down left and right. But we just need to pick up 2 people, maybe 3 in the committee sometimes, 4 in the future, and then we can get something out to the floor. When stuff that was buried before is now getting out to the floor. That makes a difference both on the floor and in committees if we can get this stuff out, because we have more seats on committees. It makes a big difference.
All right, we're going to pick up the pace a bit because our line isn't moving fast enough. So go for it.
Hello? Anyway, my name is Ward Olson. My question to all of you, how do we need, first off, we need to overturn Citizens United. Hello? Okay, anyway, they have been in Hello? Okay. Anyway, we have to overturn them and get rid of them because they nullify all of our votes otherwise. And we need to realize if we don't do this, then what should we do in this state? What's the question? I'm just asking, what do we do in the state to make sure that our state isn't run by outside money that has influence, like in the White House right now, in local government, anything, because I've even seen it in school boards. So big money has total our education system, everything, our North American model, everything. That's my question. What have we done in this state to ensure that all of us in this room have more power than the oligarchs, their corporations, and their board members?
Citizens United and money in politics is the issue. It overrides all the other issues. We can't win if votes are purchased. Rabbi Representative Ed Stackman brought us in a House resolution on Citizens United to lobby Congress to overturn Citizens United via constitutional amendment. It died on the House floor. It passed. It died on the House floor. It passed committee unanimously, and it was on its way, but somebody was angry and got it killed. This is the time to be talking like this. You vote, and that does a lot of good. But you can also vote with your wallet. You can support organizations and businesses that match your values and that don't want democracy to be purchased by the highest bidder. So that, I guess, would be my advice.
Yeah, I want to add just one bit to that, which is there are Republicans who are with us on this. It lost on the House floor 51 to 49, which is unusual. When we see those on the floor, we're always super excited with the Democrats. So, you know, there are definitely Republicans who are with us on getting money out of politics. So it's something to think about.
One quick thing, I appreciate your passion. It's the reason I got into politics, because we are bought and sold, and it's disgusting. It is a corrupt country, it's a corrupt system. One thing you can do locally that we're trying to do is research the lobby groups, okay? So we have, obviously, money in politics at the national level. We are all really trying to figure out who's behind the bills that are coming to our state, because these, like the anti-abortion bill that we did kill, that is not a local bill, that is a national bill, and it is a national movement. And so that there is a way to fight back in a very tangible way, and we'll just try to get that information out to you, some of the darkest lobby groups, and how to expose that they are actually behind it, and then talking to your legislators.
Hot mic. Okay. I want to say thank you, because there was recently a bill, the HB 320 bill, about privatizing. Okay, I'm gonna now take my finger out. Thank you, Cora. Okay. So there was the HB 320, it was framed as a scholarship. So I just want to say the grassroots movement, and thank you to Peter Strand. You may not know this, but you were sharing information with your trainer, who was giving it to a bunch of parents in the Gallatin County. And we were able to target some Republicans. One happened to be your house cleaner, so she got to Jane Gillette. So again, you never know the power of sharing and awareness around these bills. And so thank you very much. And I think that we have a bit of a messaging, branding problem. And so what do you guys think is key to have those conversations with the senators outside of the common issues, but also this, like, we're intellectual elites, just to, like, bring people into the fold? Of course, for me to say this before. Okay, thanks.
Hey guys. As a fishing guide for 10 years, I don't think of myself as an intellectual elite. I'm not a lawyer. Yeah, exactly. You know, I don't know if we are having a branding problem. Because when we separate our issues off of our platform, they win on their own. CI 128 passed, what, 63%? Every time we split an issue off, it passes. So we have a messaging problem, right? That's different than a branding problem. People in rural Montana are not listening to us. People in Lewistown are not voting for us. And I don't understand why, because there's someone in Lewistown that looks and sounds like me who believes the same things I believe that could win a seat there and beat a crazy Republican. And that being said, that person may be a moderate Republican, and that's better for us in the legislature than a crazy Republican. You know, I think it was Eric said to me, you got 3 weeks until they figure out you're a Democrat. And he was right. And the daylight it has created with my counterparts on the other side of the aisle is incredible. I've been operating under this premise, find daylight where it exists rather than try to create it, and I've been killing stuff left and right. With the help of everyone here. So, I don't know, it's great message, flawed messengers. And I said this the last time I was in this room with Gallatin County Democrats. Your next candidates are probably not in this room right now because they're working class people that can carry this message in a real way that resonates with other working class people.
Pakistan Muller. I'm interested in a lot of bills, but especially right now for education. So I know if you just tell us, I know some of the bills like the STARS Act is going to have a hearing next week, and some of the bills that we want to pass and we need support for, and some we want not to pass. So just, I know we got at least two educators up here.
I can start.
Yeah.
Thanks, Patty. First of all, I want to say thank you for your emails. You write very thoughtful emails. I get them. And I enjoy them. So, you know, the Education Policy Committee is actually a really great committee compared to some of the other ones, especially the Judiciary Committee. We have a pretty down-to-earth bunch of Republicans in there, and there's a lot of room to make agreements together and to come to consensus, which feels really nice. So that's the first thing I will say. There are a number of bills that have come through there that are very productive regarding, you know, support, for instance, for math literacy challenges as an intervention program. That was one bill that came through. I think it was really fabulous. There are a lot of bills that come along that don't get a lot of notice because they're not, you know, 320, which is privatizing education. So a lot of those you don't really hear much about because they kind of cruise through, help with the Democrats, say, oh, it looks good. It might not make it through the floor, but it's not a huge life-changing sort of issue. There are a couple of issues right now that are really concerning to me. One, it got out of the House, and I hope you all will do something about it in the Senate, which is putting religion into the schools. This is 343, HB 343. And the tough part about this bill is that it forces districts to give credit to religious instruction. So release time is already allowed, but it gives a lot of room, or it really forces districts. I mean, try to imagine Bozeman School Board and leadership putting energy with all the other craziness they're already dealing with into, for instance, deciding what the proficiencies should be for a particular religious education class. I mean, that's really what they're going to end up having to do. I don't really understand how this even looks. Which religion classes happen, it's a nightmare. I'm simplifying here a little bit, but that is a bill that I think is a huge problem, and it did make it out of the House. I think there's another bill that was in the Senate that is looking to put chaplains in schools instead of counselors. It passed, I know, so we'll be looking at that one, so you can speak up with your emails over the House soon. I don't know what the number is there. What is it? 525, SB 525. So that's a couple for you.
Well,
I'm good with rolling.
Hi, my name's Ella. I'm apologizing for this profoundly stupid question, and to all of you as well, if you find it stupid. Thank you. But could you please, because I think this is incredibly important, I think we'd all like to know a hell of a lot more about this. Can you expand on citizens referendum? Like, and tell us the stuff we wouldn't find in Google, or like the best way, or, you know, just,
For a citizen referendum?
yeah. Yeah, like how to do one, like if there's sort of keys that we might not know, like if you have any advice. I mean, I don't even know where to begin looking, but.
I would say there are definitely groups out there that are working on these things. There's actually, we have, as a state, it's been, I think the last time it was tried was 2014 for a citizen veto, which we can do. It just takes organization and people willing to get out there. So if we have a bill that gets all the way through, there are currently some groups that are trying to work on figuring out how to make that available. I can probably share more of that. I don't really know who to point it at the right time, but there are definitely people that are keeping their eyes on that. Any citizen can start a referendum, but you have to get super organized, and it takes a lot of work. Finding money to get behind that is also important, because I hate to say this, Citizens United is probably not going away anytime soon. We are not in the political climate for that to happen. I am 100% with you, and it needs to go away. And until it does, we get to also learn to play that game, and that involves finding money from people that will donate money to do these kinds of things. So there's people out there that have big money that also believe in us, and we have to find them, and we have to take advantage of that.
Let's go.
Alright, can you hear me? Okay, my name's Sam Piatti. My question, kind of a little different from what we were talking about, but Bozeman has been struggling to incentivize affordable housing projects ever since Gianforte gutted our city's ability to require affordable housing quotas in new projects. And his BS line about that it was harming construction is just a lie. We were, you know, I'm sure you guys know this, but we were growing massively. And new projects had, at the very least, townhouses, some sort of affordability. And as soon as that got gutted, like the price of rent and the cost of living, or the cost of buying a home is just, it's pricing out locals. So what kind of legislation do you guys have in the works to bring back the decisions to the towns?
Unfortunately, the bill that would overturn that bill that took away our ability to zone for inclusionary zoning, that bill died in local government committee on the anti-local government committee on a partisan party line vote. But we are getting support from places where Republicans live, like Whitefish and Kalispell, that also has the same problems we do. So there is an appetite to add inclusionary zoning back in, along with 18 other individual tools, some that get passed this session, some that maybe new legislators will pass next session. So there's hope on this issue. It's just very slow to convince some of my colleagues across the aisle that all their working people are struggling to stay in their communities.
A couple of specific bills. Senate Bill 171 is out of the Senate onto the House, being brought by Senator Fern, and that's to put $50 million into the Coal Trust multifamily housing effort. Another one that Senator Fern brought is to increase support for Housing Montana Fund. That program has existed for quite, 10 years, but has never been funded. This would put $50 million into that, which would be a revolving loan for developers who want to get low interest loans and in turn provide low income housing. And the third one is on the House side. I'm not sure where it is, but there was, this was also sponsored by the Housing Coalition for Montana, and that's a low income housing tax credit provided by the state that could then be paired with the federal low income housing tax credit, and I think really compound and increase the number of low-income housing developments.
low housing tax credit stuck in appropriation. And it might die, even though it passed the floor.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Liz Deschner. I am an educator here in Gallatin Valley. I've been doing it for about 14 years now. And so my question is about education. I have been doing this a long time, and what I've noticed is that in spite of us gaining population left, right, and center, we are losing services left, right, and center. And as an educator, outside of like the STARS Act, and thank you all for the work that you're doing on that, and aside from like the complicated issue of learning how to fund schools in a better way, which I think we can all agree is definitely necessary, is there anything in the legislation right now to help bring back some of those supports that are crushing us educators? I have kids in mental health crisis, and I have nowhere to send them. I have nothing to offer them. I have kids on the autism spectrum that desperately need ADA, and there's no ADA providers. These kids aren't going anywhere. Like, they're coming into our schools, and we're burning out great people because we're just so tired. So outside of just addressing teacher pay in and of itself, what else can we look forward to help support our educators?
You just hit the whole reason I'm here. 25 years of teaching middle school in this town. And I'm the president of our local union now, and I watched the teachers that I represent just like dying in the last 4 years. And there's a lot of factors involved there. One of them is that there's a huge outside force that wants to privatize our education. And that is a hard fight to fight. When we live in a state that just went as red as it went, and they're happy to help even though they don't know it. Small town communities love their schools. They love their schools so much, that's the reason we killed 320. It finally became a threat to them, and they killed it. So we're working in this realm of all the good bills are out there. We're bringing good bills. I'm on the Appropriations Committee. I brought a cost of living amendment to the budget, which would have helped places in our valley, and Kalispell, Whitefish, Missoula, have a higher budget. And the way the budget works is it's just backwards. It's totally backwards. So we're in this current spot, and that's why I'm here, is to make sure that I'm beating on that drum every time a good bill comes in. We've got educators doing it, we've got other good community members doing it on those education committees in appropriations. And what we can do is beat on that drum and make sure that they know that they're undercutting their kids. And we have stories just like yours that we tell. And we need you to come up and tell that story in Helena. And we need all of you to come tell your stories in Helena. Because that's where the power is. Just like tonight, you're here. When somebody gets online in an education committee and it's two moms that are probably getting paid by Moms for Liberty, and if you don't know who they are, they're not very helpful. And those are the only two parents that testify on a bill. No teachers show up. We do have great organizations like School Administrators of Montana, MFPE, the Coalition of Advocates for Montana's Public Schools. They're all great. But to have the people on the ground show up and say it is huge. There are no easy answers, and we are working as hard as we can to make your world specifically better, and it's really hard. Federal funding right now is terrifying. We don't get a ton of federal money, and the federal money for special education specifically has not grown in 30 years, and our state is picking up more and more of that, which means if the federal money slows down, the drop is going to be a smaller drop than it would have been. But we're doing the best we can, and I just want to give you a hug and say, keep doing it.
I might just mention also two programs that are currently in front of the Senate and then to the House. One is called the Behavioral Health System for Future Generations, which is a governor's initiative, and it's something that if the governor gets that through, credit that to him. The Behavioral Health System for Future Generations is a $300 million effort to create a whole series of mental health, was mentioned in the question, mental health support across the state in rural areas especially, but also in our communities. And recommendation number 18, she may want to know, is to put mental health services, more of them in our schools, so that you're getting to kids when they're in their first grade, kindergarten age, and then they get that kind of support. They start to learn about themselves, and the result over the next 15 years for each of those kids is remarkable. Finally, I'll mention, keep in mind, if those who are interested in education, the decennial study, every 10 years, state of Montana studies its education system, and it's a very major opportunity for public input. So you can Google decennial study, or call Eric, or call any of us. Thank you.
Okay, just before this next question, because we are getting to about 10 minutes before our scheduled end time, the people in line will be the last of the audience questions for the night. So let's go with Neil.
Hi, I'm Neil. Like many of y'all, I'm a product of the Montana University system. Go Cats. The problem with the MSU is that above average number of buildings, so greater than 0, have a lot of asbestos in them, including most of the freshman dorms, the freshman main halls, so South Hedges, North Hedges, Roski. Those are the big 3, and it's a big hazard. I had type A influenza for 3 months my freshman year. I was just wondering what could be done about getting that out of our schools.
That surprises me, because if that came up in my committee, we would fix that. So that's, then bring that up to section F through, I don't know, Rob, do you have anything to do with that? Nothing? No. Just come, well, okay, then I would raise that up to, it would get to my committee and we would have applications already for the repairs and we would do that.
I might just add to that, and only because Pat and I got a little sideways. So let's work with the Board of Regents on that. University systems are kind of their own little islands, and the university is in my district, and I'm so proud to represent that, but I would love to chat with you, and Pat and I have a running list now of things to talk about with the Board of Regents, so let's make sure we get that added. Thank you.
Thank you, and first of all, thank you for your time. My passion in the past couple of years has been Russian disinformation, and I really think it's been something that we've been slacking on. Just to understand the gravity of the situation, MIT in 2019 put out a review. 19 out of 20 Facebook groups, the top one for Christians, were run by Russian bots. It was 12 out of 15 for BLM groups and 1 out of 3 for Native American groups. This is really my passion, and I don't know how much you can do in a state legislature for this, especially with being so Republican right now. So just really, what can I do to help you, and what can we do to help save our democracy before Russia convinces us all to destroy each other?
A really simple answer to that is voting matters. So there's only so much we can do at the state legislature. I want to see you get out and make sure every single one of your friends, your colleagues, your acquaintances votes in every single election cycle. So there's a lot we can do in Congress. I used to be a federal lobbyist for a long time, but we need voting matters. I cannot stress that enough, especially representing the university district. So.
I'll just share that we do have some tech bills that are trying to moderate tech in this state. They started with cyber stalking and basically grooming and sexual abuse of children. And so there are mechanisms. Daniel Zolnikoff in the Senate, and I know there may be some others, but there are bills that we can use at the state level, so get in touch.
Hi guys. Got a public speaking, sorry. My name is Aubrey Labar. I'm a National Parks Wildlife Technician, so you can probably imagine how I'm feeling right now, along with the rest of my friends, many of whom have been fired. But my question's not about that, because we all know that's wrong, and we're going to do something about that, right? So, anyway, my question has to do with what happened last month when Trump and Attorney General Knudsen allowed for Montana Highway Patrol to act as border agents. I'm very worried for a lot of my friends. I also currently work at a gas station where I see a lot of people who get affected by this, who might get racially profiled, who might be deported, oftentimes illegally, and taken away from their own families, and it's really devastating. I spent a lot of time in Texas, so I had a lot of friends who were really affected by that, and it hurt my heart. And I know it's a federal thing, but is there anything that we can do as a state legislator to combat that, basically?
I feel like I'm speaking a lot, but I do want to say that I have been working with the sheriff's law enforcement, fire departments on a couple of bills, and they are pushing back very strongly on their bills in the legislature, trying to get our police officers to become ICE agents, and they hate it. So I just want you to know that they don't want to do this work, from my experience so far. Federally, I don't know, I would pass it down, but there is a pushback, so I want you to know that.
I had a bill for judiciary, so I had to sit through one of these areas where someone, rookie freshman like me, who was Republican, didn't know anything, was trying to get required highway patrol to turn immigrants in. There's no system to do that. There's no database. And every single police officer organization and highway patrol is saying that, leave us alone. Now it got through, but they said they changed shall may. So they're not going to do it, okay? Right, so, we have no legal obligation to let the federal government commandeer local law enforcement. There's constitutional cases on that are 100 years old. The federal government cannot tell our cops what to do, and we can just simply refuse. And the system's so messed up, they don't want to do it.
I really did a good job of keeping everyone in line, didn't I? I nailed it. First time's a charm. Anyway, as it's 2 minutes shy of 8, the time has come to close down the House. So let's have a big round of applause for our legislators. I was mid-sentence, so I'll have to pick that up. Who will lead that enthusiasm? Y'all are killing me. For our legislators who will need that enthusiasm to carry them through the second half of the session. Thank you to everyone who came out tonight. It has been an honor to host you, and I hope to see everyone at our monthly meeting. Actually, I don't know if everyone will fit in that meeting, but we'll try. March 26th, 6 p.m. at the Gallatin Labor Temple. Good night and good luck.
Yes, I'm gonna claim my chair down. I wanted to invite everyone else March 16th at 3 p.m. There is a Trump Democracy March that's been organized by our County Central Committee, and I'd love to have all of you there. Again, March